Hey there, everybody. It's Lisa Duerre, the host of Ctrl+Alt+Delete with Lisa Duerre. I'm so glad you're here. I want to let you know this is the first time we have gone live with our podcast. So, this is episode 1 of season 4, and we're doing it live across all of our social channels. We're hoping to make it interactive with you. We'd love for you to drop any chats or questions you have. I'm just really honored to be here with you right now, going live in season 4 of something that matters a lot to me, to our business, and to our listeners. So, welcome, Ctrl+Alt+Delete Live with Lisa Duerre and her special guest. So, one of the things I wanted to just presence and highlight for us as we get started is why this podcast exists. So, RLD Group is the company that I co founded with Randy Duerre. And what we focus on is rebooting leadership drive inside tech organizations. We help organizations take culture transformation out of the clouds and into the hearts of the leaders in tech. We help prevent burnout, and we also help drive bottom line results. So when you think about Ctrl+Alt+Delete, sometimes we have to Ctrl+Alt+Delete our mindset. Sometimes we have to Ctrl+Alt+Delete our processes. And today we're going to talk about Ctrl+Alt+Deleting or rebooting our work environment, how we make modifications for the 1 in 4 people that are disabled. What does it look like to create an environment where all of us can thrive? And how might we create the opportunity for us to live in a world where modifications are easy and make it easier for all of us to thrive? So, I want to share with you one thing as we get started when it comes to why this matters to me and why I think this is so important. And you may have seen this LinkedIn post from me. Let me just pull this up. This was a post I did a couple of weeks ago, and it was talking about my experience of what's going on behind the Zoom screen. This is me in a lymphatic pump. And the reason I'm in this pump is because I have a disease known as lipedema. So, we're going to talk about that disease today through my own journey and my own experience. And the reason I think it's important for you all right now to know about this is a modification I make in my workspace. I am in this machine 3 times a day for an hour each slot. And I think one of the things that I noticed when I put this post out, the amount of people that were sharing, "Oh my gosh, me too. I didn't know you had that. I think I have it too. I have other things that are going on behind the Zoom screen that people don't know or see." And I realized we need to start shining a light on this. And because it's Lipedema Awareness Month, I thought we might actually put the lens on lipedema today and also talk about why making modifications in the workplace matters. So let me stop sharing this picture of myself and get right to the good stuff here. I'd like to tell you a story about what happens when you start to realize, oh my gosh, I might really need a modification at work and in my life. And one of the things that I know for sure is that when you see somebody else doing something, it can inspire you to actually take action for yourself. And that's what happened with me and our guest today. So I want to show you a picture of what's going on in her world and why I think it's important for us to talk about this today. And I just want to land this for you. So this is Patrica Cornute, and she is the founder of Lipedema Fitness. And you're going to see her picture behind the Zoom screen. She's done over 300 Peloton rides, and she uses a mobility aid to walk. That's one of her modifications. And if you follow her on any social channels, you'll see all kinds of modifications she does to her fitness routine. And I thought it would be a really great conversation to start off today to really look at it through the lens of both of our experience and the clients that we support on what it means to modify and be flexible in the work environment. So without further ado, Patrica Cornute, I'd love to invite you onto the stage here with me. Let's see if we can get into our conversation. There she is. Patty, can you hear me and see me okay?
I sure can.
Oh, I just love having you here. I'm so excited to be in this conversation right now. And for those of you that haven't met Patty before, I'd love to just give you a chance, Patty, to talk about why Lipedema Fitness, who you are, and what brought you to 300 Peloton rides and a mobility aid.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think this is such a fantastic platform for this. Like, we don't really discuss what we're dealing with in the workplace. And I think it's so important. So I was diagnosed with lipedema in 2007, and it was 3 years after I had had my daughter. And my symptoms, I had had it the whole time, but my symptoms really spiked after my delivery with my daughter. And in the hospital, I still was given kind of like a little nugget of what it might be, and I took me 3 more years trying to find out what it actually was, and I stumbled upon somebody by Googling big legs on, my computer, and up came pictures that looked literally just like my legs, and I went to her blog that she had, and I just went down the rabbit hole of just research, and any link that she gave, I went there and printed all that stuff out. And we took like a ream of paper into my doctor and said, I have this.
Mhm.
And I got the strangest response. I kind of got like a shutdown from her. And she's like, you're going to have to see a specialist to, kind of discuss that stuff. And so I went right back to that website and that blog and found out that I could find a certified lymphedema therapist in my area by going to the Vater School website and plugging in my zip code. And it took me to one who diagnosed me within minutes. And then I found out that there really wasn't a lot we could do. They could help us to get any lymphedema, any lymph fluid that was building up, because I had gone so long without getting properly diagnosed. I
Mm.
was late stage. So I had lymphedema. And so they got a bunch of fluid off me and put me into compression socks and then basically said, you're on your own.
Mhm.
And we were advised then that working out could be not such a good thing for us because they thought it would make our symptoms worse. And we were told, keep your feet elevated, keep your compression on, stay out of the heat, and I did all that stuff. I even took like Reiki because I was like, I got to be able to do something for my body,
Yep.
because I was an avid gym person. And to go from being a very active person to being afraid I was going to make my condition worse
Mhm.
was a huge change for me personally. And I, over the next 5 years, got really depressed and my body got worse in general. Bodies are meant to move, and by not moving, I was really damaging just myself as a body. But then my lipedema also got worse. And part of that was a stressful employment situation.
Mhm.
And it kind of was a big snowball effect. I was going through this whole change in my body and trying to understand it more and the symptoms that were coming up for me. At the same time, our company was really getting large, and it was a tech company, a software company. And the owner had gone through losing his father, and something changed in him. And it was like I became the kind of go between him and the employees. And when that, it's supposed to be like an equal balance. You, as an employee, bring something great to the company, and the company gives something great to you. And it's when it works well, it's really great. And that wasn't happening. I was putting myself as a buffer between he and the employees, and had to realize that I was doing such damage to myself by doing that. I was taking on all of it to try to shield them, and I just couldn't do that anymore. So it kind of culminated at the same time my symptoms were culminating, and I took like a 6-month break, sabbatical, whatever you want to call it. But I
Mhm.
quit my job and just took time for me and wrote and did, different classes to try to help emotionally see what was going on with me and what I wanted to do. And I had been in that company for 15 years. So this was like a huge shift for me. And it was about that time that I found a not for profit company that I had visited as a guest and thought, wow, they need somebody. It's such a different role than I was coming from, but basically the same thing, just on a much smaller, basis. And they are lovely. It was a total shift into really focusing on the people and being gracious to the people and what they bring to you. And that all started me on saying, I need to do something different. I need to start moving. We were seeing online people falling late stage and couldn't get up. And that was so scary to me, like that I wouldn't be able to get up if I fell. And that's how I started working out again. I said, enough, I'm going to try this with my husband. He's a CrossFit instructor, and let's see what happens. But I have to do something because I'm dying inside. I'm just not who I was. And so we began then. 2013, we started very modified CrossFit training, and I immediately started to see my body getting stronger. And it was like not this big, huge, I'm here at this really low level in my physicality, and I really want to be way over there. It was this shift. It was like gradual steps that got me feeling positive and feeling stronger. And all of that is great. And it just keeps you going and gets you motivated to keep moving. But incredibly modified, standing kitchen sink push-ups because I couldn't kneel because it's too painful to kneel when you have lipedema. And it was an amazing shift. And when I started to see that change, I wanted to tell everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in groups that were still being told not to do this. So I was like, I think I'm going to pay it forward. I'm going to write a blog. I'm going to share my story. And then some of the women in the groups that I were in, I was like, what do you think if I start a fitness group? Do you think anybody else would be interested? At least I wouldn't be annoying people in this group.
Yeah, I'm going to jump with you really quick here and say to you,
Yeah.
that's how I feel too about even bringing it to the podcast, right? So thinking about like, once you know about this disease and once you know what's possible or impossible based on what you read in the news, you have to talk about it because we have to be able to connect with others. And also I worry too, if I'm going to be annoying, am I talking about it too much? Everything I talk about, lipedema, right? But I also see how this, when I think about the number of people that are disabled in the workplace, 1 in 4 have something going on. So while we're talking lipedema today and Lipedema Awareness Month, I think what you're talking about pulls through for everybody. And if I can, I want to back up for just a second because you said something really profound that in my own journey, I don't think I realized until you just said it, but you said it was in pregnancy and in the hospital you had a nudge. You had a nudge, right? Because basically lipedema impacts or flares, if you will, it exacerbates more. It's through hormones, right? So puberty, pregnancy, perimenopause, and menopause. I too know it hit in pregnancy for me, but I didn't understand it. But in menopause is when mine just went berserko. And when you talk about how nobody couldn't, you have to go see a specialist and how are you going to figure it out? And you went down the rabbit hole. I hope that today we're actually able to show people with the links that we're sharing and the comments we're sharing. So much more is available now than when you started, Patty, even 2 years ago when I figured out what was going on with me. And I really just want to say that if anyone on this audience live or on the replay is looking to be inspired, you want to check out Patty's Instagram and her website. We'll drop it in the chat multiple times throughout today. But one of the things that inspired me to have this conversation is how modified you really have done it, and that you listened to your own body and you did what was right for you, even though they were saying like, don't do this and don't do that. Because just like in our own workplaces, we have to advocate for ourselves. We have to advocate for our needs. We need to ask for support. We need to take a look at, I remember when I broke my ankle, I was afraid to ask to work from home. This is way before COVID, right? But I couldn't drive and I was afraid to ask. Like, that's just silly to me now, knowing what I know now. So when you think about the mindset of what you brought to this from absolute beginner of what's happening in my body and I'm afraid I'm going to fall and not get up to check me out. I see you with the balls, right? I see you with like the bars. You just sponsored a triathlon for Pete's sake, right? So I think you are a way shower to so many about how modification can actually make you stronger. And you have a hashtag, I hope I get it right. All or nothing versus all or something. Did I get it right?
All or something is is our motto. So
right? Instead of all or nothing, it's like go big or go hard, right? No, all or something. So when you think about this for the leader listening in today who perhaps doesn't even know that it's 1 in 11 women who have lipedema and that it's painful, that you have swelling. So I too got diagnosed at late stage 3. I was so swollen I couldn't walk. I thought I had a knee problem. I went to the knee doctor and he didn't know what was up with me. I actually have like a lipoma under my knee. And I said, what is this? And he goes, that's your bursa. Like, I don't think that's my bursa. I'm not a medical doctor, but that is not a bursa, right? So I thought, okay. But my point is, like, how might we invite us all to take agency over our own experience and to look for all or something moments, whether it's in your work setup, your office setup, maybe remote work. What runs through your head for you to give yourself permission and like ownership and agency to make those modifications?
I think as I've progressed, and maybe as I've transitioned through menopause and you kind of change how you view yourself and your life, is that I'm worth it.
Mhm.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to be right for me. So, how can I bring my skills, but still watch out for myself at the same time? I know a lot of us tend to just push, push, push and keep going, even when we're crying in the bathroom because our legs hurt so much, or, you know, we're not able to keep the compression socks in place. They keep rolling and pinching, and you're trying to gradually pull them up so people don't notice that you're in excruciating pain. You
Mhm.
know, I think open communication is the easiest step on both sides. As the business, as the, you know, the person having that conversation, because I think when you do that, you don't know that maybe your boss is totally fine with you working from home, or, you
Mhm.
know, hey, let's relocate your desks so your office is downstairs instead of at the top of a flight of stairs,
Yep.
or whatever that is. But they don't know until you kind of shine a light on what's going on. And then they also too have to maybe ask you what you need, not assume what you might need.
Mhm.
So I think those types of modifications really kind of have to stem from the person who's got whatever disability is going on, whatever modification they kind of need. And that's kind of where I'm at with trying to shine a light on mobility aids. You know, this year was the first year I bought a stand-up walker. You saw it in the picture, and that really stemmed from me wanting to attend a conference for lipedema patients that involved going through several airports, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do that. And so I, you know, little tricky trying to be Lipedema Fitness and the person behind Lipedema Fitness saying, "Hey, I need a mobility aid." But then I mentally just kind of talked it out, and I was like, "Well, why do I think this is a bad thing? If you look at what it is, mobility aid, it's aiding me in being mobile. That's a great thing. You know,
Mhm.
that should be like awesome, right?" And
Yep.
so I kind of named her.
I know what you named her because I love it, but I'll let you can give the name. It's awesome,
Her name is Helga, and it stemmed from hell yeah, I'm gonna walk more. I'm gonna
right?
get back to walking in the park. And you know, we do workouts every Saturday in the park. And for the past 2 years since menopause, I've not been able to do the walking portion that my training mates do.
Mhm.
And when I started looking at, oh my God, if I get this, I can bring this to the park. I can do the track. I can do the, you know, Murph again and do
Mhm.
that mile, you know, walk before I do the rest of the workout, and all that stuff kind of started to build. I can go to the plays and the outdoor concerts and all these things that I kind of have been saying no to,
Mhm.
but they're things that I really love. And so when I started thinking about what this mobility aid was going to give me back, it became, all right, how can I make this look like exactly what it is and not what we're all afraid of what it means?
How can I make this look like something what it is and not be afraid of what we think it means? I just I've only I'm so messy with my own journey because I don't even know, right? I'm so new to this. It's been a year and a half. And I remember my sister saying to me, I was taking a business trip, and my sister saying to me, "I really want you to get wheelchair assistance at the airport." And I was like, "I'll just gonna push it through. I'm not, no, not that, right. I could do it all. I got it all figured out." And I got to the airport and I was like, I heard her in the back of my head. I'm like, I'm gonna ask for help. This is because I was at the Portland airport. It's so far of a walk, right? And I remember asking for the help and then seeing like elderly people or people with a cast on their leg and then feeling like literally people are going to be like, well, why is that fat lady in the wheelchair? She should just stop
Yeah.
eating. Right. I
Yep.
literally, it was like, I wanted to like hide and like shrink. And I thought, no, Lisa, people with lipedema at the stage that you're at, this is normal. They can't walk this far. You need to take care of yourself. You need to care more about yourself than you care what other people think. And I just remember
Exactly.
getting through that and like the people pushing me in the airport going, wheelchair, and like everyone standing in front of me and like just all this like energy and like all this attention. And I just wanted to hide. And
Yeah.
after that trip, I decided I wasn't going to travel because it was just too much emotionally while I was
Hmm.
navigating all of that. And it was really hard. And talk about depression. Amen. I mean, I think everybody, when you get this diagnosis, when you know it's incurable and you know that you've had it most of your life, if not all, and you know that doctors don't understand it, it's pretty damn depressing. And
Yeah.
so along the journey, I found you and your page, and I've done a lot of work on my own journey. And I want to travel. I want to travel. And if I need the wheelchair, I'm thinking of Helga, right? If
Yep.
I need help in that airport now, part of my journey is learning that help is okay, that help is necessary part of life, right? That you don't have to do it by yourself. And I just really appreciate how you show up and what you've put out there through the way that you look at it, because I didn't have anybody before you showing me what was possible. I literally would be like, I'd show my husband, like, look what she's doing. Oh my gosh, like, look what's possible, right? And so you've been such a way shower to me. I think to the whole lipedema community, that I think it's just really important that we just presence that today, because if we don't share our story, we don't ask for help, and we don't see what other people are doing to improve their own lives, then it's even more isolating. So I think I just
Incredibly.
want to say thank you, because my view on needing wheelchair assistance at the airport has forever changed because of your story of Helga. It means a
Thank
lot.
you.
It means a
It's
lot.
emotional, right? It
Yep.
really.
I'm all teared up. I don't know if anyone can tell, but I'm right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I had personally seen my friend Nancy at the 2022 FDRS conference with the very same walker. And when I saw it, I was like, hey, that walker looks kind of badass. It doesn't look
Mhm.
like a regular walker that is in my brain, where they're hunched over and it makes you in a vulnerable position. She was
Mhm.
upright and
Like, I
strong.
am here, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I just kept thinking that wouldn't that be great for our gait? Our gait gets really thrown off by the shape and the weight of our legs. And to have something that keeps you upright, it's so funny. I brought it to a friend's house who also has lipedema, and I said, I just want you to check it out and see what you think. And her husband's first response was, I have not seen you move that fast or that straight. Lipedema ladies, when we walk, we tend to waddle as we get later staged,
We do indeed
right?
waddle. I'm a waddler.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you
Yep.
waddle. That's me. Yep. Yep.
But when you're on this thing, it it has your gait in the right position. It takes all the pressure off your back and you walk faster and straighter. And her husband was like, "What in the heck is this?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"That's exactly what I was thinking, is that I just need to be upright. If I can find a way to be upright, because I used to go to the grocery store and want to have the grocery cart because it
Yep.
kind of kept you upright. And I even
Yep.
did a post where I said, "This is a mobility aid because it helps me be able to go grocery shopping."
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
I love that.
mowing the lawn, it had something to hold on to. It helped
Mhm.
me. That's a modification. One year during the pandemic, the triathlon, my 5K was mowing the lawn with a push mower.
I love that. You know, my
Yeah.
one of my one of my modifications is my husband put a motor on my bike. So I love
Nice.
being on my bicycle, and we have all these hills, and when we moved in the pandemic, menopause and the pandemic for me was in the same time. It was, listen, okay, I'm not even gonna go there. But I'm like, oh, it must all be COVID. I can't walk and I'm swollen, like nothing fits. Why have I gained 2 pant sizes in 4 months? What is going on? It must be COVID. Even though I didn't have COVID. So the thing is, the motor's on the bike, and I instantly went, "Oh my gosh, I can now bike without being so anxious or worried that it's going to hurt too much or I'm going to run out of breath. I can still be present with my family. I can
Yeah.
still be present with my family." Do you know? Um,
Yeah.
talk about a modification to like be in life. And for me, a year ago, a little over a year ago, with the wheelchair airport story, fast forward to the lymphatic pump that I showed, the compression, the manual lymph drainage that I do, the change in, I've gone gluten free to the best of my ability, um, more sleep hygiene, more mental health support. Like just my self care has been tuned up. We went on a trip to the coast and I looked it up online to see how many steps and what the incline was and is there elevators? Because you look at all this stuff now, right? And I was like, okay, there's benches along the way. I'm just going to give it a shot and I'll just stop at every bench. Like I think a bench is a
Yep.
modification.
Yes,
Take the
it is.
bench, man. Anyway, I made it all the way down and I was able to see the sea lions with my daughter instead of sitting on the sidelines at the top of the hill and, yearning and feeling crappy for myself. And I think about all these team offsites, all the design they do for the team building and getting back and returning to work into the office, right? Because it's like we didn't return to work, we're returning to the office. And I think about just having seating for people, like a modification, a kind gesture is to make sure there's ample seating. Because that
Yeah.
bench was my mod. That's the only reason I said yes to taking that walk.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you have any
And
thoughts on accessibility and seating for people? Because that one blew my mind.
yeah, I mean, a big thing with us is arms on chairs.
Arms on chairs.
It's like, get that out of here. You go even to your doctor's office. I remember going to my physical therapist specifically for lipedema treatment, who knew what lipedema ladies looked like, and every chair in the waiting room had arms on it. I literally couldn't sit in the chairs.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, have a seat. Well, I'm like, well, I can't because I can't use your chair.
Yep.
And their eyes were like we of all people should know better,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I make a point when I go places, like I had to go get blood work done at the hospital, and I make a real point of thanking people when I have a chair that doesn't have arms, or I have a double chair, a bench style seating in the waiting
Mhm.
room. And I'd be like, thank you so much for having that chair in the waiting room, because man, it made my experience so much better. And
Yep.
they're just like, what? And then you have that open dialogue about lipedema and what it's like and the fear. You try to go out to dinner with your family, and what's the first thing you do?
Oh, the
I
first
go
thing I do is
Google
look
the
for the
restaurant.
chairs. Yep.
I go Google the restaurant so I can look at the
Yep.
pictures to see if they have armchairs or
Me
not.
too. Yeah. Yeah. My team actually said, "Hey, let's meet so and so for lunch." I said, "Hold on. I just need to make sure I'm going to get there first and make sure I have somewhere to sit because there were new team members I hadn't met and I didn't want that
Yep,
to be the first conversation, right?" So I get there early.
exactly.
You get there early and I mean, this is true on airplanes. I remember before I blew up in my body, I used to always look for like who are the big people going down the aisle so cuz I don't want to be squished cuz I've been a big girl my whole life, but now I'm lipedema large, right?
Right.
And now I see anybody who is large like that and I just want to hug them because I mean clearly there's something going on and you're not here to squish me in my airplane seat. The airplane seats suck.
Yeah.
And I watched your FDR your fat disorder research stuff, your posts, and I saw that Southwest actually has accessibility seating for large size patients, right? Or large size people. And I was like, there's a mod, right? There's an
An
airline that's like,
airport mod.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is the stuff like until you talk about it or live it, people don't know. And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I
I
appreciate
am
you
all
saying that.
for being vulnerable and being the guinea pig and putting it
Mhm.
on my post because I want more talking about it.
Me
And I
too.
also think, like a big example of how my mind shifted by that is we were going to the park in the summer. We work out in our park. So anybody can be driving by and see me working out in the park. And at first, I was hiding behind trees. I was in
Mhm.
the shade line. I was doing all these things. And then, CrossFit is really involved and your brain gets shocked when you get told what the workout is. And then it transitioned from, oh my God, I'm out in public trying to work out and what are people going to think of me and whatever. And then it went into I was so focused on the workout that I didn't really pay attention. And then my brain went to, oh, heck no. I want my community to see me working out. I want them to
Mhm.
see larger bodies doing things that they don't necessarily think that we can do because I
Mhm.
think it helps them. And you want to know how many people who are plus size come walking up and saying, what's this class?
That's so
This
cool.
class looks great, and they don't have lipedema. They're just
Mhm.
seeing somebody in a different body than that's usually in the park working out, and
Yeah,
they're inspired and they come and ask questions, and then I can talk about lipedema, and it's just that mind shift is kind of crazy, it's an amazing journey that we're kind of given, and I kind of think lipedema allows us to get to know ourselves better.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull a couple of pictures up to show some of your modifications because 'cause they're just so cool. And I wanna talk about water because one of the things that women in general do not wanna go in their bathing suit in the first place. And then people who need water as compression therapy, right? Lipedema patients, and I have lipolymphedema. I know you as well, right, Patty? We're both in
Yes.
the advanced stages. Water is your gift. Water, like, compresses everything naturally. And I see so many posts and conversations about, I don't want to be in my bathing suit. What will people think? I don't even know. And I remember team building events at work in my corporate days. We would go to the Carolinas and they'd be like, we're going to the ocean. And I'd be like, I don't want to go. I don't want to be in my bathing suit. I already knew my legs didn't look like everybody else's. I didn't want to be around all these men in tech and me in my bathing suit. And I remember getting there and getting in the water right away and never coming out until the whole day was over. Are you hungry? Nope, I'm good. Anything in, I'm good. Like I put a
I
hat on and
love
hope I don't get
swimming.
sunburned. And now I'm like, I need to be in the water and I make videos of myself in the water now. I share it in my personal Facebook groups. But one of the things about the triathlon that you did that I just think is so cool. I'm going to bring up this picture of you. Can you just tell us a little bit about water walking as a mod? Like what? Look at there she
All
is,
right.
water walking everybody.
So our eighth annual Lipedema Triathlon was Saturday, like, what, 3 days ago.
Mhm.
And I forgot my lower leg compression. Who does that?
Yep.
I went ready to swim because the swim is the first part. And so I was in my swim gear and I get into the pool and I get my bag and I'm putting everything in the locker. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot my compression. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? And I'm like, well, focus on the task at hand. Let's get to the pool. Let's get our swim started and I'll work it out. And as I walked in, this water walking lane was there. And I'm like, I'm going to do a 5K in the pool. I'm going to walk it because, like you said, it's natural compression. So I could easily stay in the pool. So it took me an hour to do my walking for the 5K, and I did my 750 meters swim right next to the lane over there. And then I was able to get out. I have to quickly get showered because I have to get the chemicals and, get everything off and
Yep.
get re-moisturized, get home, and then put my compression on so that I can hop on my bike and do the bike portion.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was a out of chaos moment in my head that this showed up.
It's just so inspiring though, because one of the things about mods is like real-time mods. Like you
Yeah.
said, like find the right chair. Oh, compression's not there. So for those of you listening who don't know what we're talking about for compression, medical grade compression is one of the really great important things to keep everything flowing and to minimize pain. And I got to tell you, putting those on in the beginning, I was like, I am never. My physical therapist gave me an F. She was like, "You're not wearing it enough," and I'm like, I don't get Fs. I was so pissed. I'm like, I went home to my husband. I got an F today because I wasn't wearing my compression, but getting it on and getting your mindset on that. So it's already to gear up to put the compression on. And then you're like, wait, I don't have it. I got to pivot and do it anyway. And I saw Taryn and Susan celebrating you like, yeah, way to go. Because talk about a modification in the moment. I think when you think about, the firm leadership model that we have, flexible, intuitive, resilient, and mindful. I think you show all of that in your stories, right? That's what leading in your life and leading at work today requires because we don't know what's coming up tomorrow. So thank you for that story too. And there's one more
Absolutely.
picture I have of you I want to share, and it has to do with the ringmaster. So yeah, I love this one so much. So you gave a talk that I watched that I thought was fabulous. And I wonder if you might just highlight for us, what does it mean to be a ringmaster in your own life? And why does this matter to you?
Yeah, so this was from 2022 FDRS conference, and my presentation was about the tightrope of emotional and physical balance when you deal with lipedema and how they can actually support each other. And so being physical and being active helps me emotionally. And when I'm struggling emotionally, the fitness can help with that too. So it's like a back and forth, and we can really focus on one aspect and kind of let the other one go. And people weren't really talking about the emotional side. And there's a big emotional side when you deal with a chronic illness. And I just was like, how can I talk about finding balance?
Mm.
And so then I was like, well, wait a minute. We do the strongman, the physical, we juggle our self care routines, and we have to be a fortune teller to figure out what's the seating going to be like where we're going to go for dinner, and how am I going to make this work for me at work. We're constantly thinking steps ahead and trying to help ourselves by doing that. Like, that helps our anxiety and our stress kind of subside when we're able to say, oh, they have chairs that'll accommodate us, so we're good. And so I was like, how can you be the ringmaster of your own journey? Like, I can show you what I do, but it's not going to be the same for you. So I want to help you to find what is that good medium for you.
Oh, when I think about the messages that you share and why this matters in the workplace, it really does go back to having agency and also being your own advocate and being clear on the question I love so much is how might I? How might I make that offsite in North Carolina work for me? How might
Mhm.
I talk to my boss about just the fatigue I'm having, right? And how might I rally to find other people with this condition too? Because one of the greatest modifications I made was expanding my social circle to connect with other people living with this disease and to start talking about it in our own community. And so many times, part of my own journey, my modification was admitting just how hard this has been and how fear-based I've been living and how tired I am. And so one of my invitations for everybody from just modification is, what are the beliefs you're holding and what are you not talking about? Right? What are you not asking for help with? Because boy, when you can, like I said, watching you go, I'm like, this is okay. Now I have possibility again. Now I know
Yeah.
there's hope, right? And so thank you for being the way shower of mods.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I know there's some people that are here live. We've seen some wonderful comments. I want to make sure if anyone has a question for Patty or myself that you drop it in the chat. Just want to see if there's anything we can answer for you. Um, I do want to just highlight that it is Lipedema Awareness Month. And 1 in 11 women are impacted by this disease. And many times it goes undiagnosed and dismissed as obesity. And there are millions of stories that I've heard of women knowing something's wrong, but nobody being able to help them figure it out. And so one of the things I want to make sure is we drop the do you have lipedema quiz in case you yourself or someone you know or love potentially has that. And then there's also a documentary. So for me, what happened for me, Patty, is my stepmom called me and she said, I know I've told you your whole life that your legs don't look normal. And I know that's a hard conversation because, like, I want to hear that I don't look normal. She said, but I really think you have this disease. And we've talked about this off and on. But I think you need to really pay attention because the prognosis is you're not going to be walking. And that got my attention.
Yeah.
And so I read the article and then I found, there we go, this documentary, The Disease They Call Fat. And
Yes.
so this documentary opened my eyes to women getting diagnosed and how it presents in your bodies and what it all means. And while I watched it and I was excited about it, I knew that I needed to figure out my modification in my own mental game too, because I had believed what that paper wrote. That was
Yeah.
just, you were no longer, your life is doomed and you're going to be in bed the rest of you, disabled and in bed. And I'm not disabled and in bed. I am disabled.
That's right.
I am not in bed. Right? I am again walking. I am doing all the work I need to do. And so I think everybody finds it somehow, but you mentioned something really important where you said you were Googling big legs. So why don't we, while we can here as we wrap this up, let's just talk about how it presents in the body so that people might know and better understand. Because I can tell you it's really easy for me to hide behind the Zoom screen. Right? Let me go like this, like, hi, I'm Lisa. And no one would ever know I have lipedema. I might have a double chin, right? But my arms are so heavy when I blow dry my hair, it hurts. My legs are so wide that socks don't fit right. It was hard to find shoes. I went up in sizes multiple times and I bruise easily. But what do you want to add as far as just how it presents, and so people might know what to look for on their own journey?
Yeah, for me, the biggest change, it's like I went into the hospital to have my child, and I had larger, not regular, but typical shaped legs. I had a calf and an ankle, larger than the average person, maybe, but still looking like a leg. And after she was born and I got home, I started to notice that my lower leg looked like a column. And
Mhm,
I had a very specific demarcation at my ankle. That's called a cuff
mhm.
because our feet aren't typically affected. So I've got nothing going on in my feet. They look like regular feet. And then it literally, I want to see if I can, it's here, it's my ankle, and it comes up. And
Mhm.
it's like a column instead of a shapely ankle into a calf, into your knee, where it's,
Yep.
like this, it's more. And so column shaped legs is a typical sign. Tiny on top, we tend to be smaller on top. And then from like waist down, it looks like two different people. Like
I
when
know.
I was in college, I was a size 4 on top and a size 12 on the bottom. And we're not just talking like a couple, that's a big
That's a big
switch. It
yep, yep.
it looked like a different person's upper body on my lower body. It was crazy. So that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, there's something wrong. Like, why isn't my doctor looking at my body and saying,
Right?
yeah, I think there's something wrong? And
Mhm.
I realized it just happened again because I just had blood work taken. Now I'm very advanced and I had my regular annual checkup and had to have blood work done. And I called to find out what the status is. Every single thing was perfect. No high cholesterol,
Mhm.
no diabetes concerns, no nothing. Like
Yep.
everything is perfect. Like, and I'm like, that's fantastic. But doesn't that strike you as odd when you look at me and what your experience is with bodies that look like mine and what their blood work is?
Mhm.
Like, I want Dr. House, I want him to look at me
Right?
and say,
I know.
hey, I know exactly what this is. But it's like, we don't get that curiosity from other people. We're like, this is wrong. There's something strange here, but we don't get that back.
You know, I have had the cuff I've had the column legs, I used to call them cankles, and I was getting this little, like, bulb growing, like, protruding down in my ankle side, and I was like, "What is that?" And I had so much shame about it, I didn't even ask anybody, and now it's
Mhm.
really much bigger, and I'm like, "Okay, note to self, one might stay very in tune and, like, keep asking the questions even if you think you're not gonna get the answers, because now I know what it is, but like I said, even
Right.
the bursa comment, right? I'm like, and my arms. So lipedema is also in people's arms. I've always had
Yeah.
large arms. A long time ago, I made friends with them, and I wear tank tops. I was like, whatever, they're big, but now they are They are you probably can't see, but I next time I'll show them. But they are ginormous, like this all down here, right? And so, but I have the cuffing right here. Can you see if people can see? So see how big my forearm is, right? And there's a little tiny hand, like like Patty's saying, like that doesn't matter. Oh, look at us, right? This is what it looks like. This is not just I ate too many pizzas.
Don't our hands, like our fingers look really long because of that?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So yes, it presents and this is what we know. And what I'd love to do. So one of the things we always do on Ctrl+Alt+Delete with Lisa Duerre is we add a song for each of our guests. So I'd love to know a song that either gives you the all or something kind of mindset that lifts you up or actually gives you a moment to reflect and just be grateful for your body working like it does. What's a song you want to add to our playlist?
Okay, Lisa. So I am a child of the 80s and I love female rock stars.
Okay.
And those are the rides that I gravitate towards. So you can say Barracuda by heart.
Oh, dude.
That's,
Ooh,
yeah, right?
barracuda. Mhm.
Because you can't sit still. And
Yep.
I'm all about moving. So
Yes.
put on your favorite song and dance in your chair if that's what you can do. But yeah, that always elevates me.
I love it. I can see it, and I can
And
actually see you rocking Helga. doing it,
Exactly.
right? Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing was is this year, my whole goal was I wanted to look at songs like that that are, you know, strong female singers, and I wanted to turn that on myself. I was singing to myself about appreciating myself, you know? You listen
Mm-hmm.
to some of the words in those and they're like, "You're gonna respect me and you're gonna do this." And I'm like, I'm writing my own rock anthem for
Yeah.
myself.
Yes, you are. And you are a part of my rock anthem now too. I am so grateful, Patty. Let's put Patty's site back up here. There we go. So everyone can follow Patty. You are a barracuda in the most beautiful way. You inspire me. You have given me hope. I appreciate how we've pulled through highlighting Lipedema Awareness Month, but also what can happen inside organizations, why it matters, how to advocate for ourselves. I'm going to pull up Helga one more time because I really like this picture as we, this is what's possible. This is a mod. 300 Peloton rides and an upright mobility aid to be in life, doing life on your terms. And it just really inspires me. What would you like to say to wrap us up here? Thoughts, question, reflection for folks. What might you want to leave the leaders listening to this message today who probably have a lipedema lady or two on their team, perhaps in their organization? What would you like them to know?
I'd like them to talk to the person and give them the freedom and the support to open up to you. I know that's kind of tricky if they haven't kind of started to share, but maybe use this live as a jumping off point and saying, I saw this great live with these ladies talking about lipedema. Have you ever heard of that? Do you know anything about that? You know, I know that's hard for people to kind of do, but I just think open up the lines of communications.
That's awesome. Susan says, inspired by so much. Yes, right, Susan? Susan, are you going to open up that conversation? I know you are. Susan is great at that way. Susan's in HR, so she can help all the HR. Susan's the HR leaders coach, and so she can help all the HR leaders, help all the women in tech and beyond, right, with just this awareness. Thank you for your comment, Susan. I appreciate it. I was going to see if I could pull up a picture really quick of the, so people knew what to look for and what it looks like. And it's so funny. I have all these pictures of you and I doing this, but I mean, listen, we have pictures all over our social. So let's see. Let me pause this. I just want to, okay.
The
I would just,
lipedema.org, the brochure, that's
yep.
a great place to go. And
Yeah.
businesses can really get that information. Hey, there you go.
Can you guys see that okay? Like, this is what we're talking about. This is advanced, right?
Yep.
So the Lipedema Project had some really great videos that was helping me too. So have the conversation. Ask the question, connect with the people, right? If you see someone struggling with their mobility, I don't care if they have lipedema or not. How might you support them inside? How might you help them advocate for their own mod to be okay, right?
Yeah.
Patty, I'm really grateful for you. Thank you for spending your time with us. For those of you that would like to talk more to RLD Group about how we might help you reboot leadership drive in your organization, our link is below. I'm thrilled to have kicked off this live session with you. Season 4 is now in the wraps. From Patty and I to all of you, thank you so much for being here today and make it a great day. Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.